Welcome back, backpacking fans.
Yes. If you watch our podcasts, we have quite a few podcasts where we talk to manufacturers and retailers. And one thing that they consistently say when we ask them the question of like, what's cool and upcoming in the backpacking industry, they all say kind of the same thing. Like fabric technology is always being enhanced and improved upon.
So we got this stuff called Ultra, and let's talk about it. But first, we're about to live stream, so check out the podcast.
Yeah.
Check out the merch. Click subscribe. Hammer the bell.
Hammer the bell.
You know all the things.
Unsubscribe from Bryce.
Yes. So we are going to talk all about this new fabric called Ultra. It's got a ton of different names. It's kind of taken the backpacking world by storm. If you're someone who's into ultralight backpacking or backpacking in general, you're probably going to see this fabric rolled out into more stuff soon. So Andy and I were super curious. So we're going to talk all about it and why it's the next best thing and why it's going to be coming to cottage vendor shelves near you.
Yeah. In all fairness, we haven't had our hands on it. We've never used it.
Haven't touched it. So like several years ago, I did a video called "What is Cuban Fiber?" Check that out if you're curious. And there's a common theme here, and that is the competitive racing sailing industry is on the cutting edge of these fabrics.
You gotta have lightweight, durable, strong sails.
So the sailing industry is the one that like pioneers this stuff. They came up with Cuban fiber like 20 years ago, and then once again now sails are switching to this material. We're gonna call it Ultra for the purposes of this video. It has a few different names, and there's kind of an interesting story with how it started. So basically the guy, and first I got to shout out, there's a couple threads that we read. So for this video, Andy and I, we read a bunch of threads on Backpacking Light and Reddit, and we also talked to a few gear manufacturers about this material to like figure out really what it is because it's so new. And I'll put the links to those threads in the description of this video. You can kind of read the first-hand discussion. There might be some mistruths in those threads as we've discovered from talking to these manufacturers, but that's how we kind of started doing research on it. We actually found out about it through Frozen. Shout out to Frozen. He messaged us, and Light AF is actually coming out. Did you see that post? Yeah. They're coming out with their Ultra packs like really soon. Palante also uses it. So before we kind of go into it, spoiler alert, it's much more abrasive resistant than Dyneema, and it's much more resistant to tearing than Dyneema. That's like, I mean, we're going to talk about why that is, but that is why it's like the hot new thing. It's not cheaper, as we were told. It's not lighter, but the reason why it's like super hot right now is because it's way, way, way stronger. So the guy who created X-Pack, which is like a Dyneema hybrid composite fabric, he left and started this company called Challenge Outdoors. Challenge Outdoors is the company that makes all these types of Ultra. And so there's Ultra, there's EcoPack. What Ultra is they take something called UHMWPE, probably seen that acronym. It stands for ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. It's a plastic. It's plastic. And they weave that with polyester. And so you get this really strong, really plastic based like material. Now, something kind of interesting is they use this stuff in a lot of sectors outside of sailing and backpacking. So a lot of ropes they're making out of UHMWPE, and they're making like body armor out of it because it's really strong for the weight.
And if it's woven, that might be like similar characteristics as like Kevlar.
Right. So it has a lot of uses outside of sailing and backpacking, and it's kind of like a cool practical application of material science. So what this fabric is it's basically Dyneema. Dyneema is a UHMWPE fabric. It's Dyneema with plastic bonded onto it, so it's more waterproof.
One of the advantages of Ultra compared to other, like, am I gonna say this right? Other like different types of DCF fabrics.
Yeah.
Is that you can seam tape it. So like you can do that with Dyneema, of course, but with other types of like fabrics like X-Pack, you cannot seam tape it. And the reason you can seam tape these fabrics is, from what we're told, is due to that plastic layer that's laminated on it. So that's just another advantage of like being able to make like truly waterproof products, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, you pay the price. You pay the price.
Yeah, so it's not any cheaper than Dyneema. In fact, right now it's probably more expensive. And I do got to call out the term ultra weave. It's I believe Palante Packs came up with it. That's not its actual name. There's some other company that calls it diamond hide. I thought that was pretty cool. It's all this fabric made by Challenge Outdoors. So there's a bunch of different names of it, and they make, like we kind of talked about, they make a couple different iterations. So they make this like what we're calling Ultra. They make this stuff called Eco Pack, and they're all blends of UHM WPE, which I'm just going to call DCF from now on, even though it's not technically, but they're all blends of DCF and other things in attempts to make things stronger, lighter, and more waterproof. So here are the like mechanical stats from Palante as per the manufacturer of Ultra. So Ultra's got 3 times the UPE content as Cuben fiber, and what that means is it's got 3 times the polyethylene content, so like 3 times the plasticky of it. I don't know if that's an advantage. It certainly is probably the reason why it's stronger. It's got 3 times the tear strength as DCF, and it's got 7 times the abrasion resistance as DCF.
And I think that's due to the backing layer.
Yeah, and do you know how they test it? A little
do they drag it?
No, a little tribology.
Study of friction.
Yeah,
folks.
they put the fabric on this machine. They have a little thing. They just go like that, and they see how many cycles it goes, like how many of these it goes till it breaks, and it did almost 4,000 cycles.
Really?
So it did this 4,000 times without abrading.
Do you like step up the pressure after a certain amount?
No, I think it just goes like this as long as possible, and then when it breaks, that's like your score. So this has been tested as like a textile, and honestly, the uses of this pretty good. I mean, I've talked to people who like they don't like using DCF, like for instance out west where it's sandstone and things are gritty and you're like sliding across rocks and stuff because it can abrade and break. But this would be like really good for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it seems like really this seems like one of the big advantages over DCF right now, or just traditional DCF, is really just the strength, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think there might be
and you could make the argument that the Ultra versus the Eco Pack, because it's got that plastic laminate on it, it's probably more waterproof. But I've always thought DCF was pretty waterproof, but I believe this is more waterproof.
Yeah.
Ultra 200 registers 3,800 cycles on the Tabor D3384 abrasion test. This is interesting. Double the resistance strength as Cordera.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Because that's nylon.
Yeah, you still find plenty of packs out there made out of Cordera, like a lot of hunting packs and stuff like that.
Cordera is like that heavy nylon stuff. So this is insane. So it's way lighter than that, and it's twice as strong.
Yeah, but
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's so much more expensive than Cordera.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So like Cuben fiber, I guess DCF. So this stuff, and the example they use is it's like $30 per yard, and like regular Cordera is like $5 a yard. Yeah. So it's 6 times more expensive. So I believe right now it is more expensive than DCF, but it's 7 times stronger from an abrasive standpoint, and it's 3 times stronger than a tearing standpoint. Yeah. So I mean, the tearing, that would make more sense to me to be more important for like tarps and tents. The abrasion resistance, that makes a lot of sense for a pack. And it would be cool if you could have a pack that had like this on the bottom of it, and then regular like X-Pack or Grid Stop on the sides.
Can you imagine how much it would cost right now to make like a tent or a tarp out of this?
So a big point that the people make that we've talked to is they're never going to make tents out of this.
Well, not until you can get the price down.
Yeah, because there's just no reason to have a tent that is strong in those categories when it comes to the fact that it's so much more expensive. I mean, even a full even a DCF tent, like the cheapest one's like $600. So this is going to be more expensive than that. So I don't know if they'll ever make tents or tarps out of it. It doesn't really make sense to necessarily, but I'm actually a bit surprised that there's only 2 companies right now making packs out of it. And shout out to Palante Packs for kind of getting on board and being the first ones to really adopt this, I believe. And I think Atom Packs maybe.
Yeah, again, there was a few. In some of the threads that I read, there was like a few more other small companies that were called out, and I can't remember the names, so I'm sorry if I missed you.
I do remember they were saying that Hyperlight Mountain Gear was the only company that seamed taped their packs, and that doesn't make sense to me.
No, because I was trying to.
I thought our Light AF packs were seam taped.
Yeah, and then I also thought that like our arc halls were seam taped as well. Actually, I know.
But yeah, those aren't Dyneema though.
No,
those
they're
are
not Dyneema.
those are grid stop.
But they are seam taped.
There are so many fabrics now. There's Cuban fiber, there's grid stop, there's X-Pack. There's like 3 different kinds of this Ultra. It's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The sailing world, man. The sailing world has got it. So the bottom line here is there's this sick new fabric coming out. It's called Ultra Weave by Palante. Some other places call it other things. I do think it will probably replace DCF for packs. It's not any cheaper. It's not any lighter, but it's way, way, way stronger. And they're probably never going to make tents out of it.
And potentially better waterproofing.
Yeah. So, I mean, if cost was the same and it's only marginally heavier than something else, I think you go with this. I think that's a good bet. But we'll see. Like Andy said, we haven't actually gotten our hands on this. We've seen a lot of pictures, but that doesn't do anything. It looks just like X-Pack. I mean, the guy who basically created X-Pack created this, so it looks like X-Pack. It doesn't really look like Dyneema or Cuban fiber. It's got that like glossy finish on the inside of it. So yeah, be on the lookout for it. It's definitely something, if you're in the market for a pack and you're someone who is like doing things across like sandstone, or you're doing things in like, I don't know who's like scrambling or
granite cliffs.
Yeah, if you're doing something where you need an abrasion resistant pack, you should probably, I mean, it's 7 times more abrasion resistant than Dyneema. And Dyneema is like not weak.
Yeah, I know.
So that's pretty interesting. So check it out. Light AF's got packs made out of it. Palante's got packs made out of it. I think Atom Packs has packs made out of it. I'm pretty sure other manufacturers will follow suit because the price is about the same as Dyneema. That's it. We love talking about advances in backpacking technology. If you've seen our podcasts and Andy brought this up earlier, where we talk to many, many, many different manufacturers, and we always ask them, like, what's the
new upcoming thing?
What's the newest technological revolution in ultralight backpacking gear? And they all say like material science, that kind of stuff. And so Ultra, EcoPack, these sorts of like hybrid fibers, these are kind of the next wave of backpacking technology, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool.
That's it, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.